2 years of conflict in the Middle East, but Israel and Hamas potentially on the cusp of peace in Gaza. Our key mediator, Qatar, maintaining the future of the enclave must remain in the hands of Palestinians as indirect talks continue between the warring parties. Negotiations began yesterday in Egypt with mediators from the US, Qatar, Egypt and Türkiye taking part. The Qatari Foreign Ministry reporting 4 hours of intense discussion, but no resolution on key elements of President Donald Trump's peace proposal, including the handover of captives, the release of Palestinian prisoners, and increased access to humanitarian aid. Memorial events being held across Israel to honor victims of the Nova Music Festival attack. 2 years ago, Hamas fighters breached the border from Gaza, killing around 1,200 people and taking 251 others hostage. 48 still in the enclave, but only 20 are believed to be alive. Israel has yet to stop its assault. The United Nations says it stands ready to deliver thousands of tons of aid as soon as it gets the all clear. One of Washington's proposals calls for aid to enter Gaza without interference from either side. Blake Sifton is covering this story for CNA Live from Tel Aviv. Blake, today, the second day of talks in Egypt to stop the war in Gaza, because we've had warnings from many sides that this will be difficult, this will take longer than many would hope. What's progress been like after day one?
Good evening, Wei Su. The first day of talks yesterday were said to have ended on a positive note, and surely President Trump has been optimistic and enthusiastic about the likelihood of a deal being reached, though he has not given any kind of timetable on when that could happen. We understand that at yesterday's talks, mediators worked on a roadmap for how talks could progress, and of course we understand that a second day of talks is now underway in Sharm el-Sheikh. Now we also understand that the negotiators from Israel and Hamas are focused primarily on the logistics of a ceasefire, the cessation of hostilities, because that really is the first thing that needs to happen before anything else can progress afterward. Apart from that, they are discussing the identity of the Palestinian prisoners who would be released for Israeli hostages. According to the proposal, Israel must release 250 so-called security prisoners. These are Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences in Israeli jails. And this issue is really one of only several major obstacles that need to be overcome. We understand that Hamas is demanding the release of high-profile prisoners, the kind of prisoners that Israel views as the most notorious and the most reluctant to release. Another major issue is where Israeli forces will withdraw to ahead of this hostage and prisoner exchange. According to the terms of the proposal, Israel would only need to withdraw from the lines it held up until August, which would leave it in control of many Palestinian population centers. Hamas reportedly do not accept that. They want Israeli forces to withdraw to where they were in January, which would leave them not in control of Palestinian population centers. And of course, the major issue, and really the elephant in the room, is the question of Hamas disarming. Apart from the hostages being released, that is Israel's other major demand, that Hamas be disarmed and that Gaza be demilitarized. And in their response to President Trump, a response that was viewed as positive and that led President Trump to say that they were ready for peace, Hamas made no mention of this decision, this question of disarming, and they have said in the past that that is a red line for the group.
Blake, any Israel decision or incentive at these talks driven very much by what happened 2 years ago today? What's the mood like in Israel?
The mood here is one of, I'd say, quiet reflection, of sadness at the events of October 7th, at the memory. There's been commemorative events along in the small communities along the Gaza border that were attacked on October 7th, as well as at the site of the Nova Music Festival, where hundreds of people were killed. There has also been moments of silence across the country. And the main commemorative event that's being held tonight at a park in North Tel Aviv is actually being organized by a grassroots group of family members of the victims of October 7th, they condemn the government for what they say is failing to take responsibility for the events that led to October 7th, as well as being disconnected from the people. Now, in addition to sadness, there's also hope that now that we have these talks and that a breakthrough could come imminently, that finally they could see the release of the remaining hostages held in Gaza, the 48 hostages, because for Israelis, October 7th really is an open wound, and many say that won't begin to heal until all hostages have returned from Gaza. And as these talks are underway, they are not letting up the momentum of their protests. Of course, we've seen massive protests throughout the majority of this war, calling on the government to do everything they can to see the hostages released from captivity in Gaza. And their family members are continuing to protest. They've been protesting in front of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem. And this morning, they held demonstrations in front of the homes of many lawmakers in the government, as well as ministers, including Defense Minister Israel Katz.
Thanks. Blake Sifton there reporting on this story for CNA Live from Tel Aviv.